All right, so we are live right now with Stephen Christian from Anberlin, and I want to thank you so much for joining us today on our very first Alive and Loud podcast.
Man, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you being on. I know times are really tough right now, and normally a lot of people who I've seen do these, it's kind of like rigid and in too formal, but I like to keep things light and I really feel like, the reason that we're all doing these things is just to connect, because social distancing, we're not really allowed to kind of go and interact with people. So I'm really grateful that we've been able to set this up and get to sit down and hang out.
I appreciate it too, Brandon. It means a lot.
So what's it been like for you? Where you at? What's your home base?
So I'm here in St. Petersburg, Florida, and I've just been, quarantining like everybody else around the world, around the country. And I think like most people, we make the most of it while still giving ourselves grace to understand that this is a brand new experience for a lot of us. And there's anxiety, there's pressure. Some people are facing depression, isolation. So a lot goes into it. I've tried to make the most out of it in the best way I know how, and that's kind of just to continue creativity, songwriting. I'm doing a lot of songwriting lately, as well as I started a podcast too, just like you. My friend and I started Reactive Media. It's an online company that just a lot of content. It's a content provider, and one of the ways that we're one thing that we're developing is a podcast about innovation and technology. And so it's just a lot of fun to learn and to grow, and just to absorb kind of the outside world through a lens of music. Like I don't know, about solar electricity. I'm not well versed in, Tesla.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that I don't understand, semiconductors and AI, but I'm so interested in it. I love reading and kind of like consuming all that. So to be able to interview people who are kind of on the front lines of graphic design, coding and all that kind of stuff is just so cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there right now that's just super fascinating to know, how we're evolving as people and what everyone's able to create. I kind of got into the music industry because I just obsessed over music, and I wanted to be around it all the time. I wanted to make it my everyday. I wanted to be able to provide for my family. And over time, I got into the photography side of it, and I obsessed over it and just started learning everything I could, and started going into concerts and met a lot of people, and progressed my craft and kept just obsessing over it and just learning everything I could. I never went to school for it, so it was a self-taught endeavor. And now, about 5 years in, I've worked with some of the best artists, and some of the most humble people, and it's something I'm extremely grateful for, because a lot of guys, I'm 33, a lot of guys that are in their, late 50s and so on have been doing the photography thing for their whole life, and they've never had opportunities that I've had. And, that's something that I'm very grateful to have already experienced at my age. And now, with Alive and Loud, it's a publication. Actually, they're based out of Buffalo. My friend Charlie, he's the editor in chief. He's the big guy, and we like to give stories and images that just are so visceral and put people in the front seat. Maybe if they didn't get to go, or if they went and missed out on a moment or something. And it's our duty to provide that and to share those things with people that were there or that didn't get to go, and show people how big the music community really is. Because now more than ever, I feel like we're seeing bands step up and artists that are stepping up and helping provide for their crews, helping provide for direct relief, with all this limited merch that they're doing. And it's an incredible thing, but I think it's showing the humanity side to everything more. As people say, oh, they're just rock stars, but these people have hearts. They have family away from their immediate family, which is their road crew. And it's just a really amazing thing to see right now, how everyone's coming together in the industry.
I totally agree, man. How did you get into photography?
um I got into it by looking at images, and I was like, wow, these are so cool, they're so like crisp, and how do I do that? And then I started just getting on Instagram and Facebook, and I found this guy out of Louisville. His name's Derek, and he invited me out to a show. It was a Nothing More show, and he was like, "I'll give you a camera to use, and I'll teach you the basics, and if you like it after this show, we'll keep going. I'll keep showing you stuff." And it was just like, whoa, I'm like on the other side, and the fans are back there, and it's like I don't even know how to feel, because like I felt so connected to the music in a way that I didn't feel connected as a fan. And it was important, to not lose that feeling either of being a fan of the music first, but to realize the reason I was capturing these images is because music has had such a huge impact on my life, that I feel like it's kind of my way of giving back to music as an entity, is that, you know, I'm creating something from my vision, and it's something that no one else can replicate. No one else can craft or cultivate an image the way that I do. Like I can't do the way that other photographers do. And I think that's the beauty of creativity, in that, we're all in that pit for 3 songs, or, however long the artist deems that we're there. And that's our time to shine. And it's not to be distracting to the fans or to the artist, but it's to create, and it's to, inevitably it's to help promote you, and it's to help just show people what they missed out on or what they didn't miss out on. And it's something to kind of remember, like a nostalgic feeling. If every image can, hold this certain quality that, man, I remember that moment, and that was such a powerful moment, like someone slinging a guitar behind their back or something, or like a line in a lyric. I feel like that was just my driving force, and it's kept me going all these years. Now my wife, we've been married 7 years, and she's encouraged me and pushed me out the door and said, I know it's a long distance to travel for this or that show, but I believe in you, and I think what you do matters. And I think that, as long as I'm in your life, I'm going to continue to support you in that. And it's awesome, man. It's a big blessing to have someone support you in that way, because sometimes these shows have me on the road for a few days, and it's just to be able to connect with live music. I don't think there's any other force out there that's greater.
That's good, man. That's good.
But I wanted to ask, you guys had put out 7 records, and each record I feel holds its own story. And the validity of each individual record is so solid in its foundation that you have to dive so deep, but not that deep to really catch that underlying message of hope and faith, and what you guys are all about. And I think that's the best part about Anberlin, is that you guys put out music that I think is for everybody. It's music that people can relate to. It's music that people can sit alone in a room and just vibe, and just really feel the power of what music can do. And it's something rare that I feel like, there's a lot of artists that I feel have that power, but in the music community, it is really rare to make music that people feel, instead of, music that is just more culturally appropriate in the fact that they're just making a beat and then, that's it. So like, what's it been like to have, I guess, the success that you guys have had? How's that been for you?
I never felt successful when we hit like a particular number or toured for so long or financially made it to this place or that place.
Mm,
I felt successful almost right away, in the fact that maybe I hadn't accomplished what other musicians had, but we were a couple kids from a very podunk town in Florida, and the simple fact that we got into we got to some day jobs and worked hard, scraped up money to record a demo, got signed to a record label, and then we were trying all that, you know all these massive dreams. Never could I have imagined that we would have gone to where we were or we had achieved. So for me, the success wasn't in what we accomplished during the tenure of the band. Success was leaving everything behind and pursuing our passion, our dreams, quitting college, quitting jobs, scraping by, living with our parents. That to me is success. Whether you make it by the world standards or not, you have your life standards, and you have, for the rest of my life, I'll never have that. Even if Anberlin was nothing, even if we just fizzled out within a year, I would always in the back of my head know I tried. I gave everything. I laid it all out there and tried with all my heart. So I think at that moment when you are passionate about something and you leave everything else behind, and pursue that with all your heart, soul, and mind, I think that's the moment you're successful.
That's a great answer. Yeah. I feel like, and everyone, I guess, has their own version of success, or, what it feels like to quote unquote make it. But I feel like that really shows like the spirit of the band, and individually, that's something to be really prided on.
I agree, man. I mean, yeah, and it sounds like you're passionate about your photography, and you got to pursue that. And the fact that your wife is absolutely supportive of you is crucial. So don't take
Yeah.
that for granted.
Oh no, it's paramount, in any success. I feel like, the old adage that behind every great man, and not only do I have a great woman back there, but I've also got a great 6-year-old that likes to help dad edit his images. So, she'll put her hand on top of mine. We'll go through all the things, and, she'll get to help out and say, "Daddy, I helped make that." And that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what's really great about, fatherhood is that I recently learned, and, I didn't know this, but Amberlin had actually came from, you were going to name your daughter Amberlin, correct?
That's correct. Yep. And it just, now I think it would be very insultive to her, if I had named her that. She would think, man, what are you trying to live out your golden years? What are you? So definitely not. I did not name her Amberlyn.
So what did the name come from? It's actually a very unique name. I tried to look it up, and I don't think I really came across any meaning.
No, it doesn't mean anything. It was just, I was explaining to somebody where I wanted to backpack, in Europe, and I was saying, like Italy, France, and Berlin, and I just was like, man, that would be, and it was kind of just all a sentence rolled together. And after I had said it out loud, I was kind of like, man, that would make a really cool name for a daughter, Amberlyn.
Yeah.
And it kind of just started there, and the band formed, and we couldn't think of a great name. It was just horrific. The band names they came up with, like Laredo and the Clamor, all these crazy band names. And I was like, listen, it's going to be Amberlyn until you guys can think of something better.
Yeah.
And then, it just stuck. And after you play a few shows, people are like, oh, Amberlyn, yeah, yeah, I've heard of them. So that's how it came.
Yeah, well, it's stuck, and it definitely fits the band. It's one of those things where, like, you always wonder, how did a band come across this name or that name? And then, a lot of people are just like, oh, I don't know, I just thought of it one day. But that's actually kind of a really cool thing, because, like me, sometimes I'll mash words up, and then they'll be like, what did you say? And it's like, just, it's a word, you know.
Mm.
So I wanted to talk to you about one thing. I've got a friend of mine, and he's a big fan of you guys. He actually lives down there in Florida, and he has some questions. And I was like, I think it would be a really cool thing to kind of get some questions, not just from me, but from somebody on the outside of the spectrum that would really like to hear something that you had to say. So I'm gonna grab this because this was a really good question. I'm kind of jealous I didn't think of it myself. But what was your songwriting process like during your tenure with Amberlin?
So lucky for me, I had really great musicians surrounding me with Joey Milligan and Christian McElhaney, who are still very prolific, music writers. And so usually they would come up with their own kind of song, and then they would demo it out. I believe both of them use Pro Tools currently, and they would send it to me, and then I would run it through. I enjoy Logic Pro X, so I would use that, and then I would track vocals and melodies and lyrics to it, and I would write, I would say, an average of about 25 songs per record, and then from there we kind of like slowly dwindle and weed the bad ones out, and then we give our producer probably like 15 songs to kind of delve into and listen through, and then they could make the final decision of what songs stay and what songs go. And so that was kind of the music writing, and that was probably 90% of the time. The other part of the time was me writing music and kind of just showing them a song I had written, or our drummer Nate would play around with a lot of electronic instrumentation, and he would kind of present a song to us, and we would kind of go from there. But it was a very fluid process by the end. I think it's something that we had down pat. So it was a lot of fun to create. I still love songwriting, love it.
So you still working on some songs right now? Maybe
Yeah, I mean,
some
always.
solo stuff?
Always. I mean, everything, man. I just write. I continue to write and write. I just do not stop. So, I can't tell you what tomorrow will hold or bring. And, as far as if another Anchor and Brittle record's coming out, if another Anberlin's record coming, I don't know. There is like, I can honestly say there's nothing in the, there's no record label. There's no,
Yeah.
nothing like that. But I mean, why say, never say never. I've
Yeah.
learned that the hard way. I was, early on, I was like, Anberlin will never play another show ever again. So, it was one of those things like, okay, well, it worked. It happened.
Yeah. Crushed a lot of hearts with that, but it's okay. We forgive you because you put out 7 great records.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, I mean the songwriting process is so crucial with every band, and it's different for everyone. But it seems like you guys had a really great process in the way that everything just kind of assembled itself, and then it comes clearly across in the music. Whenever you hear it, it's like I can just tell that was something that was thought out, wasn't just strewn together, wasn't something that was just like, oh, I don't know, disagreements within a band, which you're gonna have, I guess, some kind of like, well, I don't like that, maybe we could try that. But yeah, I mean, you guys have always had that kind of clear cut and dry like way of just piecing things together, which was just so visceral. It was really, really well put together. um
Thank you.
so what does it look like going into writing an Anberlin or like a solo project for you? How does the process start?
Well, it's a form of passion. I mean, when you get passionate about anything, whether that's podcasting, photography, art,
Hmm.
you just delve all in. And so with this last Anchor and Braille record, for me the songwriting process was just finding, sitting down with a guitar, a piano, demos, friends, sitting down with co-writing, and just kind of absorbing the outside life. And then, whatever I felt needed to be transposed or talked about, discussed, like it's kind of like the overflow of the heart. It just happens. And so if there's like a life situation, I'm like, man, that would make for a great song. I think that it just comes out, just kind of pours out. And I think that's where this Anchor and Braille record came from.
That's great. So how are you holding up during quarantine? I wanted to ask, you look great. I was wondering how does Stephen Christian deal with things now that everything is the way that it is?
What, you gotta find your outlet, and a lot, first off, start with grace. Give yourself grace, understanding that this is a very stressful time for a lot of people, a lot of us. A lot of some people are struggling with anxiety and depression. And so I see a lot of like motivational, memes that are like, if you don't know Spanish by the time you get out of quarantine, you failed, like,
Yeah,
so I understand that's not for everybody, but I'm trying to make the best of it. So again, I'm songwriting. I'm trying to be creative with a podcast of my own called Reactant Media, and me and a friend kind of working on technology, talking about technology and so that's been a lot of fun. Really trying to stay in contact with friends. It's pretty hard to isolate. I mean, it is very easy to be isolated because you just kind of lose track of the day, you lose
yeah,
track of the time. And so and then we're doing little things like, Amberlin's going to play an acoustic show online on Sunday, and coming up here. And so we'll probably keep doing those, here and there, not like every week or something like that, but
yeah,
who knows? I'd like to do like once a month, and then perhaps like play through their albums, or invite special guests to come in and sing with us and be a part of the show. So we'll see. It's just there's a lot changing in the music world, and so we want to not only be on the cusp of it, but help in any small way we can. We're all kind of stuck indoors, so the fact that we can kind of do an acoustic show, I don't know, hopefully we'll bring a little reprieve, a couple minutes of reprieve for those people who are stuck inside.
absolutely. And some of the bands that I really enjoy have already been doing things like that, and it does help. You guys need to know that what you do is providing a service to people who are dealing with things like anxiety and depression. And and thoughts of isolation, and it's a very dark, it can be a very dark time, but it can also be a very eye-opening time, if they just accept, what we've got going on right now and just invite music back. I feel like people really might have taken music for granted, because without festivals and touring right now, it's like people are sitting there twiddling their thumbs and not knowing what to do with their time on the weekend. And it's like, oh man, I can't go to that show Friday, or I can't go to that show Saturday. What am I going to do now? And if anything, it's very, very crucial to have people such as yourselves really do something like that, and to put on like a digital show or whatever. And even if you guys had played one song, that's one song that people really needed to hear.
You're right. Thanks, man. Thanks for the encouragement. I appreciate that.
But definitely, we'll be looking forward to something like that, because I know people since 2014 have been like, oh man, Anberlin, Anberlin, Anberlin. And it's like, yeah, I think that something like that will really, really catch. And I think it could even help you guys, because, nobody really knows what anyone else is going through until you talk about it. So it's one thing that
Right.
we want to provide here to Live and Loud, is we want to provide, an outlet for artists to just be themselves and open. And, if they have things on their mind, talk to us, let us know what's going on, let the public know how you're holding up. And if anything, the music community is so strong, we can all band together around everyone, and just, I think, be there for each other like music's been there for us.
Very cool. Will do, man. Absolutely.
But I know as a father and as a husband, it's really, at times, it can be really crazy on the spouse. So how's it been, to have, Stephen at home and dad at home and all the time? How's everyone handling that?
I think we're trying our best, just like everybody else. We definitely have our moments. I think,
Yeah.
one thing that I've learned through all this is patience.
Yep.
I feel like I'm a more patient person, but it's also allotted me a lot of quality time. Like until I retire, I don't think I'll have this much unadulterated time spent with my wife and kids. And so I'm trying to take that not for granted. I'm trying to try to maximize. I've been on more walks, more bike rides, more pool time in the last 1 month than I have probably in the last year. And that's sad, but that's true. And so I want to, when we go back into normalcy, whatever that looks like, this
Hmm.
is one of those things that I want to take away, is just the simple fact that, like, man, simplicity is okay.
Yeah.
Life being slow is okay. Things are going to get done. We do not have to create work, create jobs for ourselves, feel like we need to go, go, go just to feel a sense of achievement or that we did something. Doing something, it just looks like being, not doing. And accomplishing can look as simple as just a connection between you and your spouse, a connection between you and your child, creating a lifelong memory that will never leave, as opposed to getting to 20 phone calls and 50 emails, which will be forgettable next week.
Yeah.
So just trying to take the opportunity to create a life, of lifetime memories.
For sure. Have you had the girl, the dad fingernail polish yet? Have you
No,
been
no,
there?
no. That's coming. That'll come. I'm fine with it. I told them they could do that. They
2
just
weeks ago, I was there, so don't worry, no shame.
no shame. No shame at all. I love it.
But I wanted to ask, so a question for me, and what I've always wondered is, what is your favorite line in any song you've ever written?
That's tough, man. Man. I don't know. I think there's a few of them that kind of stand out. I would have to like go through the entire catalog to figure that one out. But ones that come across right now into my head are the one that says, "We're not questioning God, just those He chose to carry on His cross." For me, it says, like, hey, like I'm not trying to, come against you, God. I'm just trying to say, like, some people that claim Your name and say they walk, that they're speaking for You down here on earth are doing a really poor job. And so, I like that line. And then I think in the song off Lowborn, um, it says something, bad decisions are like ghosts that just won't die, because a lot of people make really horrible decisions and they think, oh, you only live once, or let's just go live it up, let's live fast, die young, and all this kind of stuff. But honestly, like, when you make decisions, they, a lot of decisions, especially the bigger ones, they impact the rest of your life. They can set a trajectory,
Mhm.
of what other people believe about you or what you believe about yourself. Now, whether these are positive or negative, decisions, you've set a trajectory. So bad decisions sometimes are like ghosts that just don't die.
That's a really good, that's actually one of my favorite ones. It was one that whenever I heard that line, I was like, "Oh, wow. Yep, you feel that one."
There you
I
go.
do.
Well,
But,
unfortunately, I have a series of interviews to do today. So I'm trying, I have another five, I have one right after this.
that's cool. I was getting ready to wrap it up. I was gonna say, I just wanted to thank you very much for hopping on here with us and just opening up your home and your life to us and telling us how everything's going. We look forward to hearing about the project, your podcast. We look forward to seeing Amberlin play some acoustic very soon. And I hope you're very well, my friend. And I look forward to talking with you again. Thank you so much.
No worries, Brandon. You have a great day, my friend.
You too. Take care.
See ya.